I wanted to get your position on Christian nationalism. I don't know if that's something you hold, but my question regarding that would be, how would, if such a Christian nationalist type scenario were to come about with an Orthodox type leadership, how would the Catholic and Protestant churches fare under that?
I mean, that only exists when you have a majority of the population being Orthodox, so it's not even really a relevant question. I mean, I do believe that nation states, when the vast majority of the people are Orthodox, the state, through what's called symphonia, should reflect those values. And that's what Roman Catholics and even some Protestants used to believe. At least classical Reformation people believe that the state had a duty to God as well, even in Protestant nation states. So, yes, the traditional teaching of the church, whether you're Roman Catholic, Protestant, or Orthodox, is some type of Christian nationalism and or Christian Orthodox imperium. That was the norm throughout the Byzantine period.
Okay, I was just curious to see what you thought about that. There's been a lot of that on Twitter recently, and so I just figured I'd ask. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of traps, I think, going on with that stuff too, because we're not at a period when this is really a viable thing. And so I don't agree with James Lindsay on his Enlightenment stuff. But I do think that there are people who could conceivably be entrapped through some kind of wild Christian nationalism that's just not even relevant to now. That could be breeding grounds for Fed stuff, but that does not mean that I believe that there's some sort of pacifism or no. There ought to be a Christian imperium when the majority of the people are Christian. We don't live in that right now. So if that ever happens, that's like way down the road. Jonathan, what's up? I mean, Christianity is not a go after the state and enforce it type of thing. It's a bottom up, you convert people the way that we do it. And if the majority of the people are Orthodox, then you get a Christian state.
But the Christian nationalism thing, like if you had a magic wand, then you had the choice between having separation of church and state in America or in the West in general versus a Orthodox-based nationalist country. What would you choose? I have a quick follow-up on
that. Well, again, it would only work when the majority of the population follows and believes the religion. So if that's the
organic.
Case, yeah.
Okay, cool. Glad to hear that. And then thoughts on like Project 2025 and the budget director. I think his name is, I forget his last name's like Vault. He was caught on like undercover camera talking about how he's trying to slide in a lot of like evangelical fundamentalist type of policies and kind of like not maybe hijack or secretly hijack Trump's administration with some of those policies, and you're seeing some of that actually come true. What's your thoughts on Project 2025 and the current administration?
I've heard people talk about this. I haven't put much thought into it. I don't think that you're actually going to get an evangelical theocracy. I mean, I think that's kind of crazy. But I mean, it sounds like something that the left is just sort of creating into a giant bugaboo. It's probably a nothing burger. So, but I haven't like read through it or whatever. I doubt that would go.
I read recently a book by Yanaras. I'm from Greece, and he was talking inside this book about orthodoxy and Greece between orthodoxy and the West. And he was describing like church history mostly and some ecclesiology. And he was describing a situation where the Greek church like started to become more Protestant, but in their phronima, not in their official doctrine.
Yeah,
So,
I have old systematic theologies of Greek theologians from the 1800s, and it reads like Thomas Aquinas, or it reads like a Protestant systematic theology. Yeah. So yeah, the West, and they had a similar situation in Russia in the 1700s. The West was very influential in these countries at different times. But by the way, I would not recommend Yanaris. He's got some pretty wild, out there liberal positions.
actually, what troubled me is this: that this book, like Orthodoxy, and this book is called Orthodoxy and the West in Modern Greece. It has like some it describes this particular event. I mean, the Protestantization or the influence by the West pretty well, but he falls victim to another issue, and that's nationalism. Like, he gives very much. He totally ignores nationalism, and he focuses on the specifics. So I'm also wondering if nationalism is also as an ideology, like it goes hand with this event.
With Protestantism? I mean, it could. I mean, modern nationalism is out of the, French Revolution, Enlightenment ideology, so it definitely could become an idol. But there's also a way to have, a Christian nation without it being an idol. Lewis, I don't understand why you're thumbing down. Like, what did I say that's even controversial? I mean, I think that the model traditionally is, ethnos and people groups, and them having kind of their own autocephalous, you could say, governance, and then you can have the Orthodox imperium, which integrates and tries to be a balance of the one and the many. But I don't think that nationalism is inherently Protestant, nor is it inherently an idol. It just can be. Go ahead, Lewis.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't thumbing you down.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like calling me out. I was like, here we go.
No, I was just disagreeing with the idea that nationalism was, as in like Protestantism's, like the idea, okay, fine, like nationalism was what caused Protestantism, but I think the kind of nationalism that has some involvement with Protestantism, like for example with the Church of England, I think that's like pre-Enlightenment. So I'm not disagreeing with nationalism post-Enlightenment is a problem, but I think like pre-Enlightenment nationalism, which is just a love for your own people and your own
absolutely
in-group, and not wanting foreign powers, which was what the papacy was,
right.
Influencing your, like being this fifth column in your nation.
Right.
I think that's good and natural. So
well,
I
don't
blame Henry VIII for being like, I think it was wrong for some reasons, but I also think the papacy was stupid to not just play real politic with his situation and have all this influence. And obviously he was going to be like, well, I don't want this.
I mean, they were playing real politics, but against him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think Seneca's commented on, Francis even recently, like Francis saying everybody in Europe and America needs to have open borders. I mean, that's a subversive foreign entity.
Well, a lot of NGOs that fund and support mass migration are so-called Christian.
Yeah, and Roman Catholic, especially Catholic Charities, yeah. And other Middle Eastern nations, as I'm sure we all know. But you can support the stream via Super Chats there. Thank you to Lewis and Sneck there for those good comments.
Divinity raises the humanity in Christ through theosis, and that's exactly what we experience.